Excellent. Today is Wednesday, March 13th. It's 3 o'clock and the Cemetery Commission begins its meeting. Present are Barbara White, Scott McIver, Lee Saperstein, and myself, Francis Cartonon. Present by Zoom is Alan Reinhardt and also Charles Polacci, and we're waiting for Tracy McDonald. So I think we can begin at the top of the agenda, public and commissioner comments. We don't seem to have anyone from the public, but I do have a couple of things that I'd like to mention under commissioner comments. The first one is there's a very weather-beaten sign, large one in Old North Cemetery, and more than a year ago, we discussed the fact that it's something of an eyesore, but we haven't actually done anything, and it's still there. And whether we can have it replicated and put back or not, my feeling is that since we are using CPC money and we're talking about applying for more, and we're telling the public about what a good job we're doing with the money we have, we ought to make sure that our cemeteries, particularly who have already done work, look well. And for that reason, I strongly urge that we remove that weather-beaten old sign, put it in storage if we must, and replace it later. But I personally would like to see it leave the cemetery. Lee.
Charlie, have you got any more news on that? Because I do.
We have a work order in to have the sign removed, and I had previously talked to Ray about it, and he has a copy of all the text in a Word file, I believe, so that the sign can be recreated.
I was up here. I'm trying to think, was it Monday or late last week? And Ray Sylvia was at his desk, and he said it's going to happen. He's going to pull the sign. And he thinks he's got a vinyl template with that text already cut into it to be able to make a new sign fairly soon.
Excellent. Item 2, as I drove by the Quaker Cemetery a couple of times in the last few days, I've noticed there are 3 broken rails in the split rail fence along Quaker Road. 2 of them are pretty close to Caton Circle. It looks like a car may have run into the fence. And then there's one further along on Quaker Road that it may be just a matter of rot. But if those 3 rails could be replaced, it would be nice.
Yep. Yeah, there is a work order that has been submitted for those. The problem, I guess, is they'll probably do it when they do it. They usually try to get a whole bunch of split rail to do together at one time, and they'll go out and be replaced, but it is in the work order system.
Thank you, Charlie.
Well, those are my 2 commissioner comments.
Just like to note that Tracy has joined us.
Good.
Great result, Fran.
So the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from February 14. Do I hear a motion to?
I move that they be approved.
Second.
Scott seconds it. Roll call vote. Barbara?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. So that,
Don't forget about Alan.
You gotta get on here.
I beg your
Aye.
Alan votes aye. All right, now, Lee, did you tell me that we have a lot of approval to do?
We do. We do. And Takara has just abandoned us. But good thing I duplicated what she sent.
Let's see.
Okay, let me just make a note here, lot sales.
Well, this is a lot sale for Bruce Corson.
No, this is an interment.
I'm sorry, this is an interment order, not a lot sale.
Right, and it's the second page.
I see.
Okay, Suzanne McManus is the godmother of Bruce Corson the second. And he's asking for the right to inter or inurn her ashes in their family plot at Pulpus. And they want it to happen in 3 days, on the 16th. I believe that Ray Sylvia and Nick Duarte have been informed of this and are ready to dig the hole. And that's why I went out to Pulpus. Oh God, it was cold when I went there. And came back here and chatted with them. So that's why I got my information about replacing the sign. But it's what I think we're seeking is the commission's permission to inter Suzanne McManus in the Corson family plot. And that's the motion.
Which is in the Pulpus burial ground.
Do you know the phone number?
No,
Okay.
hang on, everybody.
Is this it?
LNA. Okay.
I'm not sure that that's true. Hang on, please. Put this with me. All right. Saperstein,
I would move to approve it.
I would second that move.
okay.
It's a family comment, if the family is, and their space.
3 days, yeah.
And their space, right?
And there's a cross on
Position 4.
position 4, so that implies there's a space.
Okay.
Okay, that is simply not correct.
So.
No.
Lee, I have the layout if you'd like me to share my screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. There you go.
So it's here.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh,
actually,
that's not.
All right.
And
That took me a minute. I didn't know that existed until Lee sent this map over. I'm looking at the grid work, trying to find L and M. And there it is.
So that's like the old grandfathered in.
so he made up L and M. Or maybe at some point they were told it was L and M. 2122. 2122 does conform. But the marker is there. The marker is a concrete pillar, about 5 by 5 inches in section and about 10 to 12 inches above the ground. I don't know how much below the ground. Very prominent. The tree is there. And the two stones, one is for Mrs. Corson and the other is for somebody whom I couldn't identify.
So we have a motion on the table.
Yes,
Right now.
yeah.
Seconded.
Yeah, I seconded it.
That's okay, with the motion on the table can be maybe discussed, but that's
So the motion is to approve this inurnment
for the 16th.
for March 16th. So I think this time with a roll call, I'll start with Alan, so I don't forget him. Alan,
Oh, I,
Barbara.
is that
Scott,
what we're, okay.
Lee,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That's unanimous. Are they planning, by the way, to do a memorial stone for him?
I think they are. Neil's son Warren has taken over doing the headstones for last year. So he has his finger on the pulse and all that. What I imagine.
Do we not have to approve those?
Well, if it hasn't been done. then-
No, I'd say it'd be down the track. Usually we bring it in for approval.
Madam Chairman,
So, I'm sorry,
yes, Madam Chairman, yeah, just a note of clarification, the L and M designation for the Corson lot, the full-blown map of Pulpus Harbor, I'm sorry, of Pulpus Cemetery, had the A through, I forget how high they go, letters up one side and the numbers down the other side. And the LM designation was simply the coordinates on the larger map that has all of the lots, all of the plots that are contained within the cemetery, including those old ones, and any new ones we might want to make on the northern side of the cemetery. That's just for clarification for where those numbers came from.
Thank you. So actually, although that was an approval for an earner, we don't actually have any lot sales to approve.
That's correct.
All right. Next thing is the monument restoration project update. Is there any information there? I was,
Nothing yet. Walter and crew will be out once the weather warms up enough to do the repair work. That they're confident that everything will bond, and at that point, I believe they'll be doing the next round of D2 solution.
I was directly in touch with Walter, and he told me that when he's coming, he'll give me the heads up so that I can show him the stone in the historic colored cemetery that didn't get cleaned the last time, and that Barbara couldn't find.
I didn't know which one it was when we were up there.
I know exactly where it is, so if he lets me know when he's coming, I can show it to him.
Excellent.
Is there anything else about the colored or Quaker cemeteries?
No.
Alan? No? No? Then we come to the Newtown Cemetery. Is the flagpole up?
Flagpole is up. We have not hung a flag on it yet. We just they had to order in some new rope, so we need to restring the pole. There is you can kind of see, it's very hard to see from the road, which actually works out well. It's a small light cluster on it, so the flag will be lit, so it can stay up 24 hours. So as soon as I think they're waiting for Dale to finish doing some of his pruning stuff, so they can bring the tree truck in and boom right up there and change the rope with these.
Fran,
Yes.
if I may suggest, let's ask Tracy to unmute and turn on her video.
Here.
You're muted.
Tracy, you're still muted.
You're muted.
Okay,
No.
hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay, good.
So Tracy and I spoke at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I don't think she has a lot to tell us about Newtown, but she is our connection to the town administration for anything that might happen on it.
So we're still on agenda, item number 5, which is all about Newtown. And we're talking about parking layout, the flagpole we just discussed, brush removal, etc. So Tracy, do you have anything to tell us about this item on the agenda?
No, I guess I probably need to see a plan at some point.
We plan to come back to you a little further on under old, new, and other business. But for right now, we've laid away the story about the flagpole and Charlie brush removal and so forth. That's all taken. It's all in hand. Is that correct, Charlie?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, but the first item under that is plan for consolidation update. And that's going to be Tracy.
Yeah, but you suggested that we put that.
No, that's
No, that's
Paulus.
for Bulbous.
No, number 8 is old, new, and other business.
Correct, and that would be the Paulus Cemetery.
Oh, I see. Well, I beg your pardon, Tracy, coming back to you for Newtown. Where are we with that? Lee?
Yeah, Tracy is trying to Oh, Tracy, I am a horrible punner. She's trying to pick up the traces. And familiarizing herself with the status of these different projects. And so she's aware of our interest in having Newtown formally declared within its existing boundaries as a cemetery. And she will be talking with town representatives for town attorney and also digging into the files. Tracy, is there anything more you want to say about Newtown?
No, I hope it all works out since.
Is there
since,
anything more that you need from the cemetery commission?
If there's any kind of a plan that shows the layout of how you want it to be, that would probably be helpful.
Just go to the GIS. It's the bounds of Newtown Cemetery are on the GIS, identical to
I know, but I'm saying in terms of like your future plan of what you want to do, if you're going to move the path or.
Oh, Tracy, until the ownership is clear in the town, we're not spending any money on consultants or design or arrangements. Probably our first step would be to survey the corners and get a reportable survey. Our second step would be to get our colleagues in the geophysics business to round out their geophysical, not geophysical, ground penetrating radar survey. We know that there are graves under the Cow Pond Lane path, and there are graves under the entrance. What we don't know is in the areas where brush has to be cut.
Okay, so my role would just be to monitor along the way until you get to that point.
We need more than monitoring.
What do you need? What do you need from me?
Since it's Cow Pond Lane, we need a cattle prod into the town to declare it a cemetery.
Okay.
We've been asking for this for a very long time, and we've been prioritized at the bottom of the list for terribly long, and it's such a simple thing that we would like to have this happen so we can get on with our other plans.
Alan has his hand up.
Right. Madam Chair, if I may. We have located the corner bounds of the cemetery, of the whole cemetery. I believe Lee can confirm this, that those bounds are in the ground. And what we need is for the town to, as Fran said, to declare that this is in fact a cemetery, and it has been for over 100 years. We have the stones to prove it and all that sort of thing. So as far as the legal issue, we know it's a cemetery, we know what the bounds are, and somehow back in the 80s, I believe it was, there was a proposal to put a road through and so on, which anyway, that's part of the history, part of the background. And what we need, once we have the cemetery designated officially as a cemetery, you would think that would be pretty simple and straightforward. But once we have that designation, then we can go ahead with the different projects, the monument restoration project, putting the footpath through for the school. You know, we're not aiming, I don't believe, to eliminate that footpath. We do want to put a parking area down on the bottom near the auto body place because it's a better access. Those are the goals, I think, that we're looking for at Newtown.
Okay. All right, well, I'll see what I can do.
Great.
Thank you. Well, now then, we were talking about having a potential site visit to Newtown and to New and Old North cemeteries. We put off a definite date from last month's meeting to now. Do we have a date now?
You and I are gonna be away for the first 2 weeks of April, right?
I'm going to be going from the 4th through the 18th.
I'm similar
We were wondering if we could get it
in March.
in March.
I can do any time in the next 2 weeks, just not next Friday.
Is there any reason we couldn't do it on Saturday morning?
No. That is a positive answer to your question. Is there any reason that we cannot do it on Saturday? No, which means we may do it. So
Barbara?
I don't have my other calendar with me at home. I think that's fine. That's the 16th,
Alan?
right?
Yeah, I could do it on, we're talking about Saturday, the 23rd.
No,
Yeah.
16.
he won't be back.
Do we have to post it?
Well, wait a minute. So, give me the date again.
Oh, well, we just stopped to think of something. Do we have to post this site visit? We had a discussion about that last month.
We
Okay.
don't have to.
I can answer that, but let's get the date. Alan will not be back until the 18th.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. That's, this is coming Monday.
You can't
I
do
can't
it
do-
on the 20.
I'm away Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
The
22nd, 23rd, 24th, right?
How about Wednesday, the 21st?
Wednesday is the 20th.
20. I can do that.
I think I can do that. Wednesday, the 20th, Alan?
Yes, I can do Wednesday, the 20th. I do have an appointment at noon that'll take about an hour, but other than that 1 hour on the 20th, I can be there.
Okay, folks, morning or afternoon?
For me, 10 o'clock in the morning would be good.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Alan?
to
Okay.
answer Fran's question, it's up to us. If it's a field trip and a site visit during which we make no decisions, it doesn't need to be posted.
Correct.
If we want the public to know what we're doing, then it should be posted.
Well, I think it's time we went and had a look and we can make our decisions
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting. Well,
Okay. My feeling is that what we're looking to do is we're not going to take any official action at the site visit. What we're simply going to do is to walk around the cemetery and maybe make notes of any suggestions and things that we think need to be done at that cemetery for its improvement. And then we can bring those items to the next meeting in April.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't believe it would need to be posted because we won't be taking any official visit or doing any official votes or anything.
I agree with Alan.
Now, we're saying we're going to have a look at Newtown, New and Old North. That's 3 cemeteries and you have a meeting at 12 noon, right?
Oh, wait a minute. I missed those times, Fran.
Well, we're talking about meeting on Wednesday, the 20th at 10 a.m. And go to visit Newtown, New North and Old North cemeteries. That's 3 cemeteries that we'll look at. So my question is, for you, do you have a meeting at noon on Wednesday, the 20th?
Correct. I do. Yes.
At noon or 1?
Noon.
My meeting is at noon and it's going to take an hour. So I won't be available from 12 noon to 1 o'clock.
But between 10 o'clock when we meet at one cemetery and when you need to depart for your new meeting, will we be able to look at all 3 cemeteries productively?
Probably, and if Alan has to go, it's not as if he would be destroying a quorum because we don't need a quorum.
Right.
Okay.
So do we need to take a vote on? No, okay, so we're all in agreement that we will meet and we'll meet at Newtown.
Yes.
And proceed on to the others. Okay, that's great. Well, now we come to Pulpus. And Tracy.
Well, let's stay with the agenda. Charlie, is there any update on the map?
Nothing yet. Ray and I had talked about doing some mapping and some aerial photography. He thinks that with the new markers that we have, once we get those all laid out, we'll be able to do a really great aerial photograph to do some layout stuff. As far as the actual paper map, I have talked with Phyllis. We just want to make sure once we get everything, all the markers laid out, then we'll, so we're not missing anything, then we'll create the file.
Yeah, Ray explained that to me as well.
Yeah. That's the first step.
What he was suggesting is that if somebody opens up the digital map, it'll look like a photo of the cemetery. But if they zoom into a particular plot, they'll be able to touch their cursor to it, and the information about the person buried or inurned would pop up.
Great.
That's a great piece of technology.
Yeah, so we're all in favor of that. Okay,
Right, new town?
Fran,
I mean, Pulpus?
yeah,
That's what I said was on to Pulpus, and then Lee said, well, first talk about the map. We've now talked about the map, and now Julie, Tracy, you're on.
Okay, so Lee and I had a call today at 1 to talk a little bit about Pulpus, and I have been familiarizing myself with some of the background. I also spoke to Alan, and I've spoken to Rick Bodette, who is the attorney for the Hicks, and I'm going to try to get this thing resolved for you. I think we're at an impasse in terms of what they want and what you want. And if we can't resolve that, then I have to figure out what the resolution is going to be to sort of rectify this situation. And so town council is actually on vacation this week, but I'm going to try to discuss with her in particular what the actual legal rights are. And if we can't come to the swap agreement, then I'm thinking maybe a license, but I'm not sure.
well, let me, more for the video, and Alan, we do see your hand,
Yeah.
more for the video than anybody else. We had proposed a simple swap, a slice of the cemetery against the 268 property boundary would go to 268, and an equivalent slice would go onto the cemetery, retaining the cemetery's four-sided nature. It's not a rectangle, but it is a quadrilateral. The abutters said, no, we would like to protect the backside of our property, which we use for entertainment. And so we would like to give you the same square footage, but with further extension, making a six-sided Pulpus cemetery. And we went out there in March of 2023. Attorney Bodette was with us, and we walked back into what's now the downhill side of the proposed swap, and concluded that wasn't all that beneficial, but did agree to creating a six-sided cemetery. The surveyor redrew the plans and called it option E. Option E
Bye.
did have an internal corner right on top of a white oak tree. And we proposed that that corner be moved just slightly away from the abutters so as to protect the tree. And that is where we stood in our official meeting in April. where we endorsed option E with that slight move. And I see Ellen.
Oh,
Yes. This all began, what I believe was 13, 15 years ago. And by the way, there is a record of all of the time, all the meetings over that period of years where we discussed this item in our formal meeting. Now, the sole purpose of this land swap was because the Hicks have an encroachment on cemetery property, on town property. So as Lee said, we initially proposed, well, we'll give you a swipe of land to clear your encroachment, and we'll take, another slice of land here. That was the original intent of this. By the way, there is very little benefit to the Cemetery Commission from the swap. The primary benefit of doing this is to clear the Hicks encroachment. So maybe, Tracy, that's where you should focus is, if we can do some sort of I don't know, an easement or whatever to do that. But unfortunately, in the meantime, what's happened is the Hicks have planted trees on cemetery property, which I clearly told Jeannie Hicks, you can't do that. But and I thanked her for donating them to the cemetery, which may have been inappropriate. But anyway, they have continued to encroach on cemetery property. We have had surveyors out there, I believe at least a half a dozen times when I have met Leo Azarian out there on the cemetery, and we have a new line here, a new line there, a new whatever. What they are trying to swap for us is land into the woodlands. The problem with that is it's thickly overgrown. It has some big trees in it with big tree roots, which would make it very difficult to use that area for any burial spaces and so on. We have just laid out an additional, I believe, 150 lots in the cemetery, which should take us for another, hopefully 10 years or more. And so again, the primary benefit of this swap is not for the Cemetery Commission. It is for the Hicks to clear their encroachment. That's their issue. And I understand one of their concerns was that because they have a registered lot, they would have to go to the land court, which means more surveying, more expense, more time waste, or more time spent on resolving the issue and so on. So, all these things are issues on the Hicks side. Okay, we have not done anything in terms of encroaching on the Hicks property. We have done nothing but try to accommodate their request. We'll put it nicely. So that's where I'm coming from. As not chairman today, but as chairman over the years, I see no real benefit to the Cemetery Commission in this whole land swap, that the entire benefit is to the Hicks, in spite of the fact that they're insisting they don't want to pay any money, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, and so on. So that's a bit of the history. And
Yeah, and I do understand that, and I did research it a little bit.
Okay.
Those structures have existed there since 1981 or so, and I'm pretty sure they're pre-existing non-conforming. So that's what I'm trying to investigate. I don't think we could force the removal of them. And I think that the best we could do, you're right in that it would be beneficial to them to resolve it for a multitude of reasons. But if they don't have any plans in the future, and they're not motivated to do it, then they're not, I just don't think they feel they have a need to agree to it. And so the best we could do to resolve it would be some kind of a license, I think. to cover the small encroachment, it would just be for the encroachment area. It wouldn't allow them to, like you said, be encroaching any further or anything like that, and also do an agreement between them,
Right. Well, they already have been, these trees were planted, I think, 3 or 4 years ago on cemetery property, and they were planted intentionally to block the view of the cemetery from their house. They did not ask permission from the cemetery commission or the town to, if they could do this. I mean,
But you're saying they're wholly on cemetery property, right? They're not like
Wholly-
straddling it or anything like that.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
wholly.
so I agree with you, then you own them. That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you
well,
very much.
exactly. Yeah, I did make that comment when she came over one day, and I think she might have been offended by the, but anyway, it's been a very frustrating situation because
I understand that.
we have bent over backwards to try and accommodate them. And all we get is pushback. They want more, they want this, they want that, and they don't want to pay anything for any of this. I don't know who's paid for all Leo Azarian's time. I mean, he's spent, I don't know how many hours over there moving these lines around, different plans and all this sort of thing. I certainly hope it's not coming out of the Cemetery Commission budget.
Tracy, can you explain the license that you're talking about?
So the town has, other areas where people encroach, like, for instance, if you're downtown and you're encroaching on the sidewalk because your stairs come over it. And so, obviously in that scenario, you don't necessarily have another choice. So the town grants a license to cover the area, and that kind of, covers them for various ways. There's other times where it's like much worse, like into a road where they have planned work and it just can't exist because they have to do road work or other, sewer work or whatever. But usually a license kind of will resolve the issue if it's not like detrimental to the town property. So
What do you, I did see the map that was sent out today. I mean, I feel, if we gave a license, it should only be for the building. The encroachment there, and
you're right, Fran, yeah. For where it comes over the line.
Right.
And then it gives, we can.
Then we lay out plots.
Lay
We
out
can lay out
plots
plots right up to the fence.
right up to their fence, which is not what they want. They wanted a buffer. It just seems, I don't know. That's just my comment.
No, I think.
I think the land court part of it is pretty major, in terms of them having to subdivide off that piece. That would be a very long process. Once the plan's developed, submitted to land court, then you're at the land court's mercy. Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me? My earbuds just died. So then you're at the land court's mercy to approve the plan, which can sometimes take a year, before you can even then get to the point of deeding anything over. From the cemetery's point of view, giving their piece, obviously you're not going to give your piece till you can get their piece, but it's not registered land. So you would just have a sort of a plan, and it would be, I don't even know title wise, if it's clear title or if it's insurable title, but there is that concern as well, is like what you would be giving them has to be good title.
If I may, I think a license agreement covering the encroachment is fine. When we laid out the newest 150 lots that we're still going to put in the ground, we did not go into the proposed swap area, mainly because there was no agreement. And obviously we didn't want to lay out plots. It would be like them planting trees on our property, it's something that we couldn't do. And so I think it's important, at the bottom of all this is that the Cemetery Commission is willing to do whatever we can to help the Hicks as far as the encroachment. But they have got to understand that they do not control that property now, and they will not ever control that property until we, unless we get a swap agreement. I agree with you, going to the land court is probably the last resort, because that's I know from the land bank, dealing with the land bank, what a, show
Yeah,
that
no,
is.
it's not a fun process.
No, it's not a fun process. It's very expensive, and it doesn't really benefit anyone. I mean, or certainly doesn't benefit any of the Cemetery Commission. So if somehow you can convey that to Rick Bodett, that, look, we're willing to work with you, but first of all, the encroachments from the Hicks, and there are quite a few of them there, not just trees, but all of a sudden there's some big grasses. This was last year, and who knows what else is down there. They can't just willy-nilly, it's not their land. They can't encroach on it.
Well, so I would say this, if you do a license agreement, and I'll have to double check all this with Vicky Marsh, but my understanding is we can write anything into the license agreement we want. And then once approved, it does get recorded on their title. So it will act as, and I'm assuming we will have a plan attached to that showing the encroachment area. And
Right.
we could also maybe hatch out a sort of buffer. So that, in terms of negotiating, if there was to be, I don't know, 5-foot buffer, I don't know, but is that a compromise in terms of what she wants for screening between that and burials, or you have to
If
tell
she-
me, because you guys have been in this in terms of
Right.
like what she wants.
My feeling is that if she wants to donate those plantings that are already there to the Cemetery Commission, we would gratefully receive that as a donation. But the thing we don't want them to do is to continue planting stuff on our property. That's something we would like to choose to do for ourselves.
Right.
Can anyone just do that? I mean, isn't there such a thing as you must cease and desist? Planting on someone else's land?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a cease and desist, but you can't, it's trespassing for
Exactly.
really, the basic term of it is that, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that if she wants, there's a lot of people who plant on the line, right on the line, and then it's one person's, like, for instance, a hedge, right? And then one person shaves their side of the hedge and the other person shaves the other side. But usually that's an agreement between the two neighbors, right? Like, I'm gonna plant a hedge down the line, it benefits both of us on both sides. But you usually don't just willy-nilly go along doing something, no, no.
Exactly. And I think actually it benefits the Cemetery Commission because it blocks their house out of the view from the cemetery. So it improves the view. It's not where those trees and bushes are planted are not, that's not an area where we would possibly put new grave sites. So,
Right.
fine, we'll leave the trees there, make it clear that there are trees, and, and if she wants to do any additional contributions to the Pulpus Cemetery for its beauty and improvement and so on, that she needs to contact us first and let us know what she has in mind. And we can then make a decision, yes or no, you can do this or not. But again,
Okay. Yeah, all right, well, I will see what I can do to move it forward and at least get it off everybody's plate and get some resolution and
great.
solution to the matter. And then hopefully that's it. We can put that part to bed.
Right.
I'd like to make 2 points. One is, I only know this from other members of the commission because I was not a commissioner at the time, but as I have been told, it was the Hickses who approached the commission about a land swap. And Rick Bodett seemed to be very surprised. He thought that this was something we were trying to do. But in fact, originally, she came to us. And the other thing is, if we agree about the trees and so forth up there at the top of the cemetery, I don't think we should be involved in any way about this other area that she wants to have
Exactly.
us turn over to them as a screening area for their outdoor dining area. That's, I mean, it's not just their encroachment, but when we were trying to plan how we could do a swap, all of a sudden, no, you can't be over here because it's too close to our dining area.
Well, if we pursue the license plan, then you wouldn't be even dealing with any of that. It would stay as is.
Exactly. Yeah, we would have our existing bounds. And by the way, there is a quarter bound in each of the four corners of the cemetery. Or actually there are 5 bounds because the old roadway cuts across part of it. But yeah, we would simply go back to the boundaries of the cemetery when the cemetery commission was formed. So, I mean, it seems simple enough. And all this, all that survey work that Leo has done in the back would be for naught, really, unless the Hicks want to use those plans for, I don't know.
We don't get anything.
Okay,
out of it.
one step at a time. I was at the meeting in 2015 when Mrs. Hicks came. And I'm uncertain as to who it was who asked whom for the swap. I think we may have proposed it and she asked if she could attend. It's hazy because the minutes don't actually reflect who initiated the swap. So I'm perfectly prepared to say we initiated it, but there's no evidence of that. And I think I would just lay off that.
I don't know that it's material anyways. I mean, the thing is, a swap would have been beneficial for her, you know, but I think she could take it or leave it. I think that, you know, as long as those buildings exist in those locations and have for more than, it's been well over what, 40, almost 40 years now, I think, or 30 something years. So, from a zoning enforcement standpoint, she has a pre-existing condition. And she bought the house that way too. They were there before, you know, before she even owned it. So she didn't build them that way either. And so I think, you know, if you could have come to an agreement about the layout, which is essentially what we're talking about, you know, it would have been nice for both people, but you can't, and there's no sense in dragging this on. It's been whatever, 8 years or whatever it's been. There's no sense in dragging it on with it still hanging out there if you can't come to an agreement on the layout.
Exactly.
Scott's question, I could rephrase to, in adjudicating a request for a license, is our consent needed?
I think that if you want to make a motion for me to explore the idea of a license, my role would be, I would be checking with town council to make sure it's viable. You know, I can't move forward. I can't do a license on behalf of the town either without making sure that everybody's on board. And then I don't know if it has to go to select board either.
An informal response, Tracy, since this is off agenda, I'm going to suggest that all the information you could get would be useful for us when we formally deal with this at the next meeting.
Okay.
Because it's not on the agenda. I'm trying to be compliant with the open meeting law and yet at the same time propel this issue forward.
Correct. Yeah, I understand.
That's good.
Would a sense of the commission guide you in any way, or do you do you have a clear vision of what the commission is looking for?
I have a clear, I have a clear idea and, you know, I think I want to make sure that I'm just legally doing what
Good.
the right thing is to do, and I need to check that with Vicky Marsh.
Do you need a
Right.
motion from us on this?
No,
I think we have to really be careful here and not do that because of the meeting. I think we have to. Don't you think?
Next.
yes.
Next meeting.
Wow, Tracy, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
All
much.
right.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. These are two major issues, Newtown and Pulpus, we've been working on for years, so
I know. I
good
know.
luck. Good luck. Thank you.
Well, you know, I love Newtown because that's where my grandfather's going and, you know, it's just,
Oh,
you
well,
know,
one of the frustrating things is because we don't have it designated officially as a cemetery or, well, you know, they could explain it better as to why, but we have been moving along with our monument restoration project. We've done so far nearly all the cemeteries, and we're waiting. We can't do Newtown until we have the official designation. So it seems silly that the town can't just, you know, my assumption is they could just wave a magic wand and vote and say, yeah, it's a cemetery. And then we can go ahead and put that on our list of cemetery monument improvements, because that's a very historic cemetery, as you well know. And it's been there for a very long time, so.
Yeah, so I just have to figure that out. You know, they're very focused on town meeting right now, so it might have to wait till beyond that, but then I should be able to make some progress in that direction, I would think.
Excellent.
All right.
Oh, Thank you so much for your assistance here.
Tracy, if I may, since town meeting and special town meeting come up at regular intervals, ignore the statement that they're too busy, please.
Yeah, and they
We-
do that every year.
Yeah.
We've
They've
had
been
that
told
before.
this for years, so
It's
I
the
think we're
go-to.
talking about a 3-minute agenda item, right? It's not, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
all right, guys.
All right,
Thank you so
thank
much. Good to see you all. Have a good night.
Okay,
I think if there's no further business to attend to, our next regular meeting will be on April 10th at 3 in the afternoon. And I declare the meeting adjourned.
okay, great.
Neither you or I are gonna be at that meeting.
That's true.
Ellen, good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too, and I've got to say, I'm delighted to have somebody, Tracy, working with us on these issues. So anyway, I'm pleased with it, and
I'm a little concerned about the next meeting with Fran and I not being able to be here.
Scott, you'll be here for.
I'll be here.
Is that,
You'll
is
be
3 a
here.
quorum?
I'll be here by Zoom. Where are you gonna be from?
I'm gonna be in England.
Okay.
So will I. Come around to the
Come over to
flat.
his house.
Because it'll be in the evening, 3 o'clock, it'll be 8 o'clock.
Another hour.
You come for supper and we'll join.